Strategy without execution is just theory, and this truth is something every entrepreneur and business leader eventually comes face to face with. It feels exciting to sit down and map out ideas, brainstorm new approaches, design elaborate plans, and visualize how everything will come together. The energy that comes from creating strategy is undeniable because it gives a sense of clarity, direction, and possibility. However, if all of that planning never makes it off the whiteboard or the page, it remains a concept that never impacts the real world. A strategy, no matter how brilliant, cannot generate revenue, cannot build customer loyalty, and cannot expand a company's reach on its own. It is only when action is taken consistently and with discipline that strategy becomes meaningful. Many entrepreneurs fall into the trap of confusing the act of planning with progress, but progress is not measured by how detailed the strategy is. It is measured by what is executed day after day. Consider the example of a new business owner who spends months designing the perfect marketing funnel, mapping out every email sequence, every customer touch point, and every potential objection a buyer might have. The strategy is airtight on paper, but because they hesitate to launch until every element feels flawless, they never actually put it into motion. Meanwhile, another entrepreneur with a simpler plan launches, makes mistakes, gathers data, and quickly adapts within a short period of time. The second entrepreneur begins seeing results, while the first is still stuck tweaking details of a plan that has never been tested. This illustrates why execution matters more than theory. The act of doing reveals what actually works, what needs to change, and what can be scaled. Without execution, strategy remains an illusion of progress rather than progress itself. When you look at the companies that have scaled massively, their success is rarely because they had a strategy no one else could think of. More often, it is because they executed faster, better, and more consistently than their competitors. The idea of delivering packages to people's homes overnight was not unique, but Amazon's ability to execute on logistics, build systems, and iterate relentlessly made it reality. The concept of electric cars was not new when Tesla entered the market, but their execution in design, branding, and scaling production created an entirely new industry standard. These examples highlight that strategy provides direction, but execution builds empires. Without action, the best strategy is nothing more than words and diagrams. Another danger of relying solely on strategy is that it can create a false sense of security. Planning feels productive, and because it stimulates the brain and gives clarity, it tricks entrepreneurs into believing they are moving forward. But scaling requires more than intellectual stimulation. It requires sweat, discipline, and the ability to take messy, imperfect action. Strategy can only answer the question of what to do, but execution answers the question of how results will be achieved. Every delay in execution is a delay in feedback, and every delay in feedback slows growth. This is why the most successful leaders encourage a culture of action over endless planning. They know that even an imperfect strategy executed well will outperform a perfect strategy that never leaves the page. They focus on building habits of consistent action, reinforcing accountability in their teams, and rewarding progress over perfection. The discipline of execution turns vision into measurable outcomes. Execution is what creates results, and this principle applies in every aspect of business growth and scaling. You can have the most polished business plan, the most compelling vision, or the most innovative strategy, but without taking action, none of it produces impact. Results are born from testing ideas in the real world, from refining processes through trial and error, and from having the discipline to keep moving forward even when the outcome is uncertain. Entrepreneurs who focus only on planning often find themselves stuck in analysis paralysis, endlessly tweaking and adjusting without ever launching. On the other hand, those who commit to executing their ideas consistently are the ones who learn faster, adapt quicker, and see actual progress in their business. Execution turns intentions into tangible outcomes, and that is the difference between businesses that remain stagnant and those that scale. When you study high-performing businesses, one of the patterns you'll notice is that they don't spend excessive time theorizing every possible scenario before they act. They prioritize action, understanding that real feedback comes only after implementation. A marketing strategy, for example, can look flawless in theory, but until it's executed, you don't know how customers will respond, which channels will perform best, or what messages will resonate. Execution produces data, and data provides clarity. It is through execution that you discover strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities that no amount of planning can reveal. Businesses that prioritize execution over endless strategizing learn faster and build momentum, which gives them a competitive edge. Think about startups that disrupt industries. They rarely succeed because they had ideas nobody else thought of. Many times, the ideas were already floating in the market, but what set them apart was their relentless commitment to execution. They launched faster, tested harder, and scaled more aggressively than their competitors. Uber did not invent the concept of ride sharing, but they executed it with speed and precision, focusing on adoption, user experience, and scalability. Their execution created results that strategy alone could never have produced. Execution drives momentum, and momentum compounds results, making it the true engine of business growth. Execution also creates confidence, both internally within a team and externally in the marketplace. Internally, when team members see their ideas being put into action, they feel empowered, motivated, and engaged. It shows them that progress is not just something talked about in meetings, but something tangible they can contribute to. Externally, customers and partners trust businesses that deliver, not just those that promise. A company that consistently executes builds credibility in the eyes of its audience, and credibility is a form of currency in business. It becomes easier to attract clients, investors, and opportunities when you are known as a business that acts decisively and gets things done. Another critical point is that execution transforms learning. You cannot improve what you never start, and you cannot refine what you never test. Execution creates the feedback loop necessary for growth. Every action produces a result, whether it's success or failure, and both are valuable. Success shows what works and can be doubled down on, while failure reveals weaknesses and points to areas of improvement. Businesses that prioritize execution learn through doing and adapt in real time, while those that remain stuck in planning miss opportunities because the market moves forward without them. Execution also demands resilience. Unlike strategy, which exists in the realm of theory, execution happens in reality where challenges are inevitable. Obstacles, setbacks, and mistakes are part of the process, but overcoming them strengthens the foundation of the business. Leaders who commit to execution develop persistence, problem-solving skills, and the ability to navigate uncertainty. These qualities become assets that sustain growth long after initial strategies lose relevance. Systems scale, not strategies, and this is one of the most overlooked truths in entrepreneurship. A strategy can point you in the right direction, it can clarify the path forward, and it can inspire action. But if you don't have systems in place, your growth will always hit a ceiling. Systems are what allow a business to function smoothly, repeatedly, and consistently without relying on constant manual input from the owner. They are the structures that take an idea and turn it into a repeatable process. Without systems, every task has to be reinvented, every customer interaction depends on individual effort, and every part of the business requires your direct involvement. That kind of setup cannot scale because the moment you stop working, the business stalls. When you look at businesses that have grown from small startups to global brands, what made the difference was not just their ideas, but the systems they built. McDonald's, for example, is not the most innovative restaurant concept in the world, but it is one of the most successful because of the systems behind it. The company created processes that ensured consistency, efficiency, and scalability. A customer can walk into McDonald's anywhere in the world and expect the same level of service and product quality. And that reliability is the result of systems, not just strategy. Systems create predictability, and predictability is what allows a business to replicate success at scale. Systems also free up mental and physical energy for leaders to focus on growth rather than being trapped in daily operations. If you as a business owner are handling sales calls, responding to every customer inquiry, approving every decision, and managing every detail, you are the system. And that means the business cannot grow beyond your capacity. By building processes for customer service, sales, marketing, fulfillment, and team management, you create a structure that can operate even when you are not directly involved. This separation of business from owner is what allows scaling to happen because it removes dependency on a single person. Another key aspect of systems is that they create consistency, and consistency builds trust. Customers want to know they will have the same experience every time they interact with your business. If results vary widely depending on who they talk to or when they interact with your company, they lose confidence. Systems eliminate inconsistency by standardizing how things are done. From the way emails are written to how products are delivered, systems ensure the customer experience is uniform and reliable. This reliability not only improves customer satisfaction, but also encourages repeat business, which is essential for scaling. Systems also provide the data and metrics needed to measure progress and make informed decisions. When a process is systematized, you can track performance, identify bottlenecks, and make improvements. Without systems, it's difficult to pinpoint what's working and what isn't because everything is handled in an ad hoc manner. A system turns a vague task into a measurable process, and measurable processes can be optimized. This optimization leads to greater efficiency, lower costs, and higher output, all of which contribute to scaling. Building systems also enables delegation and empowers teams. If processes are documented and structured, team members know exactly what to do, how to do it, and what outcomes are expected. This clarity reduces confusion, increases accountability, and allows others to take ownership of tasks. As your team grows, systems ensure that everyone is aligned and working toward the same goals. Without them, you risk chaos, miscommunication, and inconsistent results, which prevent sustainable growth. Finally, systems provide resilience and stability. Markets change, customer needs shift, and external factors can disrupt your plans, but well-designed systems give your business a foundation to adapt. Instead of scrambling to reinvent how things are done in times of change, systems allow you to make adjustments within a proven framework. This flexibility ensures that your business can continue to operate and evolve no matter what challenges arise, which is critical for long-term scaling. People build businesses, not just plans, and this reality becomes clearer the more a company grows beyond its founder's capacity. A business may begin as the vision of one individual, fueled by personal drive and determination. But the moment it starts to expand, it requires the collective strength of people working together. Strategies, blueprints, and visions are important, but they are nothing without the people who bring them to life. It is people who execute strategies, design systems, serve customers, and create innovation. Without a strong team and leadership that develops people, a business cannot move from survival to scalability. Every successful organization is built on the foundation of human talent, and the level of that talent determines how far the business can go. Entrepreneurs often make the mistake of trying to carry everything on their shoulders, believing that their own effort is enough to sustain growth. While that may work in the early stages, it becomes impossible once the business begins to expand. The quality of the people you hire, train, and empower directly impacts the quality of the results your business delivers. A leader may set the vision, but it is the team that makes that vision a reality. When you invest in people, through training, mentorship, and culture, you are essentially multiplying the capacity of your business. Consider companies that have grown to global scale. At their core, their success was not simply due to a brilliant strategy, but to the caliber of people they attracted and developed. Apple is not just the story of Steve Jobs. It is the story of teams of engineers, designers, and marketers who executed on a vision with precision. Amazon is not just the strategy of an online marketplace. It is the story of thousands of people who continuously improved logistics, technology, and customer service. The difference between a good plan and a great business is the people who bring it to life. People also shape the culture of a business, and culture is what sustains growth over the long term. A toxic environment, no matter how brilliant the strategy, will cause breakdowns in communication, disengagement, and high turnover. A strong culture built on trust, accountability, and collaboration allows people to give their best and remain committed even in challenging times. Leaders who prioritize people understand that culture is not something abstract. It shows up in how employees treat each other, how they interact with customers, and how they handle problems. A culture that values people creates resilience, innovation, and loyalty, all of which are necessary for scaling. Another vital reason people matter more than plans is adaptability. Strategies may need to change due to shifts in the market, disruptions in technology, or unexpected economic conditions. When that happens, it is not the plan itself that saves the business, but the people who adapt, problem solve, and innovate in response. Skilled and empowered people can pivot faster than any written strategy. They can take ownership of challenges and turn obstacles into opportunities. A rigid plan cannot adapt on its own, but people can. Delegation is another critical element that highlights the importance of people in scaling. A leader cannot and should not try to do everything alone. By surrounding themselves with capable individuals and trusting them with responsibility, leaders create space to focus on vision, growth, and innovation. Delegation is only possible when the right people are in the right roles and when systems exist to support them. This creates a cycle where people strengthen systems and systems empower people, allowing the business to grow without collapsing under the weight of its own operations. Ultimately, businesses thrive not because of the brilliance of their strategies, but because of the strength of the people executing them. Employees, partners, and leaders shape the outcomes more than plans ever will. Investing in people ensures that your business has the capacity to execute strategies, adapt to change, and scale sustainably. A plan is a guide, but it is people who walk the path, overcome obstacles, and carry the business toward its destination. Overplanning kills momentum. And this is one of the silent killers of business growth that many entrepreneurs don't even realize they are trapped in. It feels responsible, even professional, to spend weeks, months, or even years perfecting a plan before taking action. The endless meetings, revisions, spreadsheets, and whiteboard sessions give the illusion of progress because there is movement, discussion, and intellectual stimulation. But the truth is, none of that creates tangible results. The longer you spend in the planning stage without moving into execution, the more you lose time, opportunities, and competitive advantage. Business growth requires momentum, and momentum is only built when ideas are put into motion, tested, and refined in the real world. The trap of overplanning often comes from a desire for perfection. Many leaders are afraid to launch or take action until every detail is figured out and every possible obstacle has been anticipated. While preparation has its place, the reality is that no plan will ever be perfect because the market is constantly changing. Customer preferences shift, technology evolves, and competitors adapt, meaning that by the time a plan is perfected on paper, it is often outdated. Those who move quickly, even with imperfect plans, are the ones who gain traction because they learn directly from reality instead of hypothetical scenarios. Imperfect action consistently outperforms perfect inaction. Momentum is a powerful force in business because once you start taking consistent steps forward, each action builds upon the last. When you release a product, run a campaign, or test a new system, you create feedback loops that provide valuable data. That data informs your next move, and with each iteration, you get closer to the results you want. Overplanning, however, delays those feedback loops. Instead of learning from real-world results, you are stuck in the realm of assumptions. Momentum is lost, and with it, the energy and urgency that drive growth. A business without momentum begins to stagnate, and stagnation in a competitive market is the beginning of decline. Another danger of overplanning is that it creates paralysis. The more complex the plan becomes, the harder it feels to start. Every additional detail adds weight, making the first step seem more daunting. This leads to hesitation, and hesitation creates missed opportunities. The market rewards speed and agility, and those who move first often capture attention, customers, and market share before others have even launched. Overplanning robs you of this advantage because it prioritizes preparation over execution. By the time the planner finally takes action, the opportunity may already belong to someone else. Overplanning also drains creativity and morale. Teams that spend excessive time in planning mode often become disengaged because they don't see tangible progress. People want to feel like they are building something, not just talking about building something. When meetings stretch on without action, enthusiasm fades and innovation slows. On the other hand, when teams see their ideas being tested and implemented, they feel energized and motivated. Action creates excitement while overplanning breeds frustration. Leaders who recognize this prioritize creating quick wins, small launches, and iterative progress to keep momentum and morale alive. Financially, overplanning can also be costly. Time spent endlessly refining a plan is time that could have been spent generating revenue, testing offers, and building customer relationships. The resources invested in planning without execution represent lost potential. Cash flow suffers, competitors gain ground, and the business risks running out of resources before ever making a meaningful move. By contrast, even small actions can begin producing results that sustain growth while larger strategies evolve. Ultimately, business is a dynamic game that rewards adaptability. No matter how detailed your plan, unexpected variables will always emerge once you take action. Overplanning tries to control the uncontrollable, but execution embraces reality as it is. The faster you move into action, the faster you discover what works and what doesn't, and the faster you can adjust. Growth comes from iteration, not from perfect plans sitting on a shelf. The entrepreneurs and leaders who understand this embrace momentum as their ally and resist the temptation to hide behind endless planning. Growth is a formula, not a guess, and this is what separates businesses that scale consistently from those that struggle with unpredictable results. Many entrepreneurs approach growth as if it were a gamble, hoping that one strategy, one campaign, or one big idea will suddenly change everything. But growth is not built on luck or chance. It is built on a repeatable formula that combines strategy, execution, leadership, systems, and people into a structure that can be measured, optimized, and scaled. When leaders begin to see growth as a formula rather than a guessing game, they create predictability, reduce risk, and position their business to thrive over the long term. A formula for growth starts with clarity on the drivers that actually move the business forward. Revenue, for example, can be broken down into the number of leads generated, the conversion rate of those leads, the average transaction value, and the frequency of repeat purchases. These are measurable factors, and when treated as part of a formula, they reveal exactly what needs to be improved in order to grow. If leads are strong but conversions are weak, the focus should be on sales processes. If conversions are strong but revenue is stagnant, the focus should be on increasing transaction value or repeat business. This way of thinking eliminates guesswork and replaces it with data-driven decision-making. Systems play a crucial role in this formula because they provide the structure that makes results repeatable. A business that grows randomly without systems may experience temporary spikes in success, but it cannot sustain them. A formula requires consistency, and consistency comes from processes that ensure the same actions produce the same outcomes over time. Marketing systems, sales systems, customer service systems, and fulfillment systems all feed into the growth formula, making it scalable. The presence of these systems ensures that growth is not reliant on one individual's effort, but can be replicated across the organization. Leadership is another key component of the formula because leaders set the tone for execution and culture. Without strong leadership, even the best systems and strategies fail to produce results. Leaders provide vision, accountability, and alignment, ensuring that every person in the organization understands their role in driving growth. They create an environment where people are motivated, where decisions are made quickly, and where actions align with the larger objectives of the company. In a growth formula, leadership is the element that keeps all other parts working together in harmony. Execution is where the formula comes alive. You can have all the clarity, systems, and leadership in place, but without execution, nothing happens. Execution transforms potential into progress and ensures that the formula is not just theoretical, but practical. Consistent execution across sales, marketing operations, and customer service is what creates the compounding effect of growth. Each small win, each action, and each improvement builds on the last, multiplying results over time. Execution makes the formula work in the real world. People remain at the center of this formula because they are the ones who carry it out. The skills, attitudes, and engagement of a team determine how effectively the formula can be applied. A business with disengaged or misaligned people cannot scale, no matter how strong the strategy is. But when people are empowered, trained, and aligned with the company's mission, they become the force that drives the formula forward. They create innovation, solve problems, and sustain momentum, ensuring that growth is not temporary but lasting. When growth is understood as a formula, it becomes something that can be measured, improved, and scaled with intention. Instead of chasing random opportunities or hoping for breakthroughs, businesses focus on refining the elements of their formula. They know exactly what to track, what to improve, and where to allocate resources. This approach creates stability and predictability, making it possible to scale without chaos. Growth stops being a mystery and becomes the natural outcome of a process that has been designed, tested, and proven.